What's up YouTube, JoshahOfAllTrades here, and today I'm talking Westworld Episode 3, The Stray. Now this episode had a ton of exposition, so I felt like it was one of those kind of more boring but necessary things to watch. Sort of like Star Wars Episode 2. But that being said, it had a lot of information that's going to be useful going forward and really help to drive the narrative. In this episode, I found 3 big talking points, so first off, let's consider the episode's namesake, The Stray. Upon being found by the Westworld QA team and attemptedly removed by them, we saw that the Stray host bashed his own head in with a rock. Aside from, of course, straying, this host was unique in a couple of ways. First off, he had included some images that he saw in the stars, like the Orion constellation, and some of his wooden carvings, which the other hosts don't observe, especially when they're not programmed to do so. And secondly, he wasn't responding to the Westworld team's remote request to put him in the sleep mode anymore, so it wasn't really being responsive to them at all. Because he bashed his head in, we might never know exactly what was going on with this particular host, but it seems like the case is either glitch or human intervention, and it seems like there's some sort of like side story of sabotage going on in the park, and I think this is the first instance that we saw of it. The next big talking point I picked up on is that we got a lot of information about Bernard in this episode. We learned that sadly he had a son that passed away at an early age, but that also currently he has a wife or a partner outside of Westworld that he tries to keep in touch with. I kind of took this as a wink at the notion that there are some people that are in very painful, hurtful circumstances that would actually rather prefer to forget. The day-to-day drama and then memory purge of the host in the park, the thing that we actually sympathize with them for, is a circumstance that some people may actually idealize. And that leads into the third talking point that I picked up on, that Bernard spoke with Dolores about his son. I think that Bernard, perhaps like Arnold, and perhaps like some of the guests that are visiting Westworld now, are actually lacking the human connection and they're trying to take solace in the machines. So finally, let's talk about Dolores. It seems like Bernard is letting her continue function with whatever condition is allowing her to remember events from the past days. We saw at the conclusion of the episode that although Dolores had agreed with Bernard that she was going to like stay on loop, at the end of the episode she acted in self-interest, and instead of being killed or raped or like whatever happens in the loop of her story at the end when the attackers come out to her farmhouse, she acted in self-defense and she escaped them. So much like the Stray host in this episode, I think the moderators at Westworld are losing control of Dolores, and probably Maeve for that matter, because they've talked before, and we saw in the beginning of this episode that Maeve had some memories of what she saw in the laboratory, but I think Dolores is going to be in charge of her own destiny from here on out. So that ending leads me with just a few questions going forward. Right there at the end of the episode, Dolores found William, and I'm wondering if she's still with him in the morning, exactly how much from the prior day is she going to remember, and then how much will she tell William? Secondly, I'm wondering, while Teddy was on the Wyatt storyline, him and his company were hacked up by a bunch of masked people. I'm wondering, who were they? And also, they seemed immune to Teddy's shots, so how is that working? And thirdly, I have all these theories about the Man in Black. What's he doing? He didn't make any appearances in this episode. But judging from the sneak peek at the end, it looks like there will be some sort of narrative in which Dolores is looking for the same maze that he's on, and there's some parallels in their story. It's very likely that these two are going to meet up again. So that's my take on this episode. Again, while slower than the first 2 episodes, this one was meaty and there was some substance here. Also, it's interesting to me that I'm beginning to see a dichotomy both in the guests and the hosts, that there are passive and active characters. Okay, there's people that stay on the pre-written storylines that the creators of Westworld have made, and then there's both of them, guests and hosts, that are acting of their own accord and setting their own agenda from here on out, and it's interesting to see that all play out. That's all I got this week, so tell me what you think. Leave a comment down below, I'll read and I'll reply. If you enjoyed my review, hit the thumbs up. Like always, I'll definitely be watching next week. I'll post my review afterwards. Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye y'all.